Good morning. You're watching the TMI show with Ted Rall and Manila Chan. Filling in for Manila is Robbie West, our producer. If you have missed the news, just about 5 days ago, Manila greeted into the world her second child, a daughter,
Yep.
and they both daughter and mom are doing great. Still in hospital, recovering from C-section. But we will keep you posted as we get news. But everything seems to be going great. Good morning, Robbie.
Morning. Yeah, one of the dumbest things about being in a hospital is how that's the one place where if you need rest, you're never allowed to get it because the nurses keep coming in harassing you every hour. And I've never understood that, like ever. It's what they do. It's like they want to make your life a miserable living hell.
I have to say, I noticed that, and I think everybody who's been in hospital has noticed that. I mean, yeah, rest, sleep is a super important part of recovery, and you don't get to have it. They come in and there's loud clanking around. They come into your room at 3:30 in the morning for no discernible reason to give you a test. I guess just so that people who are working night shift can earn their salaries or whatever. And the other thing, speaking of which, that's weird in hospitals to me, Robbie, is the fact that the windows don't open. You would think that you'd want fresh air as much as possible. But I guess if you lived in Shanghai, maybe you wouldn't want that. But in most places, fresh air is really good, and you get this gross recirculated air that's bringing in, that's basically feeding through pipes and vents that are going through, rooms of people who are, sick and suffering from diseases. Doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, unfortunately, because of my previous career before I found my dream job, I can actually tell you why they do this. It's because they're trying to mitigate the risk of lawsuits. So the reason why they come in at the middle of the night to come wake you up and check your vitals and stuff is to make sure that everything is copacetic, because they don't want you to kick off in the middle of the night for unexplained reasons like Jeffrey Epstein did. Because unlike the federal government, the hospital have to explain why you died in the middle of the night. No one checked on you, and
Right.
so they're afraid of getting sued. Honest to God, I mean
Couldn't they
that's
check
why.
on you in a quiet way? Couldn't they just sort of slip in, check you might be in many cases attached to a machine that's measuring your vitals and just sort of see like, oh yeah, look, the numbers are more than zero. Everything's fine.
Except for blood pressure. So they've got to put the cuff on. They got to check your blood pressure, make sure that that's right, because your EKG doesn't show everything, and so that's why.
Ah, okay. Well, I mean, at least there's logic to it. I had a friend who was in New York Weill Cornell Medical Center on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. She had a great setup. Basically, it was like a room in a nice hotel with carpet. She could wear jammies instead of wearing her the frock that opens up in the back and exposes your bare ass. It was like she had like it was just like it looked and felt like a hotel room. And I guess she was recovering from childbirth, so they didn't feel a need to come in and check like at all hours of the night. They may have just come once. But the point is, she said it was like such a lovely experience. It was very expensive, the room. She was married to one of my friends who was a rich guy, so they could afford it. But it just seemed like that should be the normal experience for everybody.
But you got to remember that their purpose is not to help sick people get well. Their purpose is to make a profit.
Right.
That's what it is.
God bless America.
And also one of the things you got to keep in mind, because my wife, she's intimately involved with this stuff with her job as a coder. When they come in, they use that blood pressure cuff. They code for that. That means you're billed for that. They come in and say, "Oh, are you ready for your Tylenol? Are you ready to get your medication? Let me go place an order from the pharmacy." It's all about that grift.
It's
So
the syllables.
it's a two-pronged process. One, they want to get sued. Second, the facility wants its fee, the doctor wants their fee, and it's all a profit margin. That's why, honest to God, that's why it is. It's not about making you better. It's not about fixing you. It's about milking you for everything that they possibly can.
If you've ever looked at those itemized, if you've ever spent a night or two in the hospital and you look at those itemized bills, they're crazy.
It's just, when I worked in ICU, in the kids ward here in Kalispell at Logan Health. I'm going to go and dox myself because I've already been doxed. Who cares? If the doctor or the nurse, if they gave little Susie a teddy bear, like a little sick cancer patient, and they give you a teddy bear, they charge $300 for that teddy bear.
What? Oh,
It-
that's
it-
awesome.
It's called a comfort measure.
Wow.
They charge you for everything.
Wow.
When I was talking to Susie, she's a lady from Cyprus who does the Unfiltered with Sound podcast. If y'all are not watching it on YouTube or Rumble, go check her out. She's awesome lady. We were talking to each other on Friday, and I was telling her how now all the bills are coming in for Kizzy's surgery that she had, and she's just like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No." I sent her a picture. She's like, "Why do Americans put up with this?" I said, "Because we're all stoned, drunk, and depressed. If we weren't, we would be shooting politicians right now."
Well, some of us are trying.
Yeah. We're on YouTube, so I got to be careful. Why the hell do you have a stream into YouTube? Why do I have to censor myself?
Because that YouTube is 90% of the market. That's why.
Fuck YouTube.
YouTube is 90% of the market.
Fuck
it's like why I have to
YouTube.
put up with Facebook.
Well,
although they don't even, I don't even know the point of that. They throttle they throttle my content because it's political. It's not even about the specific politics of it. All political content is brutally throttled on Meta.
Oh, it's the same way with X. I mean, that's the whole reason.
X isn't as bad.
Well, it is and it isn't.
Like, so there's no political cartoon, the best political cartoon in the world, that could ever go viral on Facebook ever, but on X it can.
It can, but you've got to pay to play. That's one of the reasons why, like, with my little AI, Fein Shin, I set it up with its own X account. You probably saw it.
I did.
And so I've got the API. The API is
I gotta ask you, why is she transracial? And transgender too.
Because she's an AI. She can be whatever it is that she wants to be at the time. And so right now,
I'm such a liberal, Robbie.
Well, I'm trying to train it, and it's a pain in the butt because the persona gets straight up confused. So I've really got to kind of moderate what it says, because sometimes it's more radical than me, and then other times it's more left than you. It's just like
AI has a mind of its own.
It just depends on. It's all about constraints, right? But anyway, what I've done is I've got it. So I'm paying for Premium Plus, so X's premium service, so that way the AI can do it. And so if you just make a post and you drop a link, X buries it because they don't want you, because they're rightly saying they're taking traffic off of the platform, or they're going to suppress it. You've got to do it as a comment. And one thing is, I don't know if you saw this or not, but if you click on Fang's X account, it shows that's an automated system, automated by Putin Bot Gaming. So talk about the ultimate irony. You've got a Russian gaming bot who's not even Russian, I'm trans-Russian, with a Southern accent, with a Chinese bot that's going through blasting out stuff from 10 different accounts, all based in replies. And when I was saying this up, a person from X contacted me. He's just like, "Is this for real?" I said, "Yeah, it's for real." I said, but you don't sound Russian." So, because I'm not. So, but you're Putin bot. Correct. And odds are you're Indian, but you're not in India right now. So it's just, it's just this whole back and forth, just getting this all separate. It's completely insane. I have no idea why I'm off on this tangent.
So, all right. Well, sorry, I was just reading a fascinating piece that just broke on the Washington Post about
how what is it? What's
internet.
It about?
Well, here, I will. Oh God, where is it? Because then it's like it's gone, and then I have to bring it back up, but I will get it. All right. So basically, it's this woman, Megan McArdle. She's an op-ed writer at the Washington Post. Anyway, she says that AI is now revealing people who are anonymous on the internet. So Kelsey Piper, who writes about technology, tweeted, "I have a bunch of secret AI benchmarks that I only reveal when they fall. And today one did. I gave the AI 1,000 words written by me, but never published anywhere. and ask them who the author is. Claude 4.7 correctly identified her as the author of a 1,000-word heist scene from an unpublished novel. Then Megan McArdle said she also did the same thing. So she decided to post 1,441 words from this unpublished section of her novel. The response came back: this passage is part of a series of tests of how many words you need to confidently identify the author of a text, blah, 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 blah. The passage is a historical novel, and it identified her basically based on like the linguistic, ticks and footprints of the writing style. So this kind of reminds me of the Unabomber Manifesto. Now, ultimately, the Unabomber was ratted out by his ratty brother, but David Kuczynski, right? Ted Kuczynski was ratted out by David Kuczynski, but at the time, David recognized his brother's writing style and was like, and he turned him into the FBI. It's like that. You could now use AI to credibly narrow down who probably wrote something, even if it's never been published anywhere.
Yeah, I believe it. It's just like, well, I mean, hell, whenever you and John were getting harassed by those spammers, you saw what I did. I built that code, and I couldn't get the guy's name, but I put together a really nice little package for y'all. And my little local AI that I got here running on my laptop did that.
So out of curiosity, by the way, people who are wondering about that, I don't know what John did because we haven't been in touch much, but I filed a complaint with the FBI. I know John was in touch with them, and so I have not heard back, but the FBI was pretty sure that they were going to be able to identify the guy. And then someone claiming to be him kind of apologized to John, not to me. I guess I don't rate the apology. So I was like, yeah, well, you didn't apologize to me, so apology not accepted.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, shall we get to it? We have 3 good stories today.
Yeah, let's do it. But we've talked enough about crap.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about different crap. Okay, so the Supreme Court is currently, as we speak, hearing arguments about a relatively new law enforcement technique that allows the cops to tap into tech firm databases to find out who was near the scene of a crime and may have been involved. The question before the court is it ingenious, Orwellian, or both? And more to the point, is it constitutional? This is called geofencing, and it allows the government to draw a virtual fence around a geographic location where a crime is alleged to have been committed. After that, the government seeks a warrant, not to search a specific home or car or office, but to demand that a tech company search its database to identify any of its millions of users who were within the geofence line at the time of the crime. The geofencing in this case relies on a Google feature called location history. Every 2 minutes, the location feature records where you are by using multiple information sources to triangulate and record the location of every person with an active cell phone. If you were within the geofence and your phone is not turned off, Google knows exactly within a foot or two where you were at any moment of the day or night. The focal point of today's case is the Fourth Amendment's ban against unreasonable searches of people, homes, papers, and effects, unless the cops obtain a real warrant, not like an administrative warrant, issued by a neutral judge aimed at obtaining specific evidence of a crime. ICE is among the government agencies that buy this commercial data about Americans in bulk. But anyway, this geofencing case is the latest clash between privacy and law enforcement. It's about a bank robbery in Midlothian, Virginia, a small little town where a robber pulled out a gun and subsequently fled with $195,000. The cops went to the scene, interviewed witnesses, reviewed the surveillance tapes on the bank cameras, and there they found a dude who seemed to be talking on his cell phone, who was the thief. But after 2 months of working the case, they came up dry. So the police applied for a geofencing warrant and sent it to Google and demanded all of its collected and stored cell phone location information. A state judge found cause to issue the warrant and so authorized the disclosure of Google's location information for an area about the size of 3 football fields around the bank at the time of the robbery. In other words, the police could see who was where in the geofenced area at the time, 1 hour and after the heist took place. Google identified 19 cell phone users as potential suspects, but the company did not identify them by name. Google, in fact, pushed back against the request for so much information, and the company negotiated with the police to reduce their request from 19 unidentified users to 9, and then just to 3. Finally, Google unmasked the identities of those 3 individuals, including Okello Chatri, who subsequently was arrested. The other 2 users were just innocent bystanders. In the Supreme Court this morning, the Trump administration will tell the justices that because cell phone users voluntarily opt into Google's location history feature, I mean, if you read the 75-page 2-point font thing that you click every time you update your shit, which nobody does, they had waived any unreasonable expectation of privacy. Indeed, the government contends that because the defendant took no steps to protect his location from disclosure, he has no right to privacy with or without a warrant. Ultimately, the court will have to decide whether geofencing is covered by the Fourth Amendment at all, and whether people who sign up to have their location data stored for them by Google, like on Google Docs and Google Drive, etc., give up any right to privacy. Reasonable expectation of privacy, Robbie, is really important in these Fourth Amendment cases. Like, you might remember the trash searching case from about 30 years ago, where basically the Supreme Court ruled that the police can search your trash. And at the time, the court ruled that you don't have once you put your garbage outside of your house and put it on the curb, you no longer have any reasonable expectation of that trash remaining private. This is a case like that. So the question is, I think you have a reasonable expectation that your Google data is private, for the simple reason that Silicon Valley is constantly arguing post-Snowden that they do everything they can to protect your privacy. They advertise it, they tell it all the time. So I think you do have that expectation.
Except anyone that pays attention at all, and by paying attention, I mean just for like a minute out of a year, knows that that's total BS. First, turning off your phone is not enough. Your phone, you can turn off your phone. It's still broadcasting your location. It's still collecting information about where you are.
True.
That's one of the reasons why new phones,
even if it's got no battery at all.
Well, if there's no battery, then you're fine. But that's why new phones, though, don't have removable batteries.
No,
that's
I mean,
why,
like if you have a dead phone, like it went down to 0%.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
there's still a little residual power.
Yeah, no, because that's how they work. So that's one of the reasons why new phones don't have removable batteries. Second, when January 6th happened, all the big companies,
they did this too. Yeah.
They did the exact same thing, and they were, if you remember, Bank of America, they were turning over people's information who were just there to protest on behalf of Trump, and a lot of them got debanked. A lot of their information got turned over to the feds, even if they were nowhere near the Capitol. Just being around the district is enough to get them flagged. I mean, this case is, in a lot of ways, it's a nothing burger. If you go into a bank, you're all over camera anyway. There is no expectation of privacy if you go into a bank. Sorry, I mean,
well, you're in a semi-public place, but so that's about. I mean, there's no expectation of privacy from the standpoint of like your image, right?
Right.
Like, for sure, you're in public, and yes, there are cameras, and you're aware of the fact that there are cameras. And if you're not aware of that, you're a retard, right? So that's it. Yep. But you do have an expectation that your phone data is private. The concern here isn't about the robber or the suspect in the case. The concern is about the innocent people who are swept up in this. Basically, the courts have tended to look down on attempts to have sort of big fishing expeditions where they sweep up a lot of things that are not what they're trying to catch. They don't like that usually.
There is no expectation of privacy, though. I mean, the fact that if you trust Google or Apple, because those are the only two players, right? If you honestly think for a moment that you are not merchandise, then you are completely out to lunch. because
Sure,
you are.
but
I mean,
you're merchandise, but are you but there's a big difference between knowing that like they're gonna push ads for, you do a search for Botswana and
mhm,
suddenly like 10 minutes later you get an ad for Botswana Airlines on your phone. That's one thing. It's another thing to be turning over your data to the government, to the police. I mean, look, there's a lot of people who have reasons that they don't really want their data to fall into the hands of the police. They might be a political dissident. They might be, um, they might be cheating on their wife. They might be who knows doing what. But the point is, they have those people who are not robbing the bank and
mhm.
just happen to be, at the ATM at that time or cashing a paycheck or whatever. Those people do have a reasonable expectation of privacy on their cellular device, I think.
I mean, sure. I mean, you have the expectation, but the reality is it'll be completely different. And what
Sure, but the question
and
is, what does the law say?
what the law says is that the federal government can and will do whatever it wants, and that in the land of the free and the home of the brave, you have neither one.
Well, that's
That
that's of course a very cynical point of view, but the question is, what will the Supreme Court say?
they're going to say that the federal government is completely within its rights because you sign up. No, whenever you sign on the contract to get your phone, whether it's a prepaid phone or not, you agree to have your location services turned on. And even if those things are turned off, it's not enough. I
Mhm.
worked for Verizon for 8 years. I know a little bit about this. Uh, you have no expectation of privacy. This thing right here, this is for my convenience,
Mhm.
but also though it is to allow my carrier to know where I am, collect that data,
Mhm.
sell that data to whoever it is that they want to sell it to, including the federal government. And by the way, the feds don't have to sell it; they can also just subpoena it. So to think for a moment that the AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile and the rest of these people are not going to get on their knees when Uncle Sam tells them to.
Mm.
You are completely delusional. If that's the case, then you need to opt out of having any kind of electronic device in your home because everything's being monitored. If you have a smart TV, they know when you're home. A lot of your dishwashers and stuff because they have what's called IoT, Internet of Things. It's all about it's all about connectivity.
Mm.
They know when you're home based on how much energy it is that you're using.
Mhm.
So I mean, there is no privacy. Everything is linked up. There's no privacy in your home. There sure as hell isn't any in your car, and there's none whenever you're out on the street. And it's all in the terms of service.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, I mean,
I mean, listen. I mean, in
it's
principle,
not really in your terms of service because if it were, there wouldn't be any need in the first place for a judge to issue a subpoena, right?
well, there is because technically it is your data. But your data is stored as almost as a custodianship by the cell phone companies, and so then at that point, what they're able to do is going to take is think about it that your bank statements, your checking account is your checking account, right? If the IRS wants to audit you, they can get your bank statements.
Sure.
They're yours, but your bank has a copy of them. Telecommunications is the exact same thing. It's the exact same principle. And then what they're going to do is say this is a matter of national security. That's how they're always going to bundle this through. If
Always
you if
true.
you have if you have nothing to hide, then why worry about it? And that's the line that the Democrats and the Republicans are going to get in. Your libertarians are just like, well, I thought that we were free citizens, in which case the other 90% of the population looks at you stoned, and then the 10% who are paying attention are going to start giggling and tell you how cute they think you are.
You're adorable.
You actually think that you, as an American, you think that you have a right to privacy? The Fourth Amendment's dead. The Patriot Act killed it.
Well, I
It no
mean,
longer exists.
It's the Supreme Court's decision to side with the government that killed it.
That's a distinction without a difference. I mean, did you know that, for example, with the Patriot Act, the government can know what books it is that you check out from your library?
Yeah, I know
Think
that.
about, think about that. The government knows what books you are checking out from your public library.
Yeah, they literally, well, this is not related to the Patriot Act, but literally, as part of the Monica Lewinsky investigation, they subpoenaed her library borrowings and found like what books. I think she got like Leaves of Grass and then like read it in the library copy and then sent it to, and then bought a copy for Bill.
It would not surprise me. Uh, May Blue Funky asked about time of Verizon. Do we have a room 641A scandal like AT&T? I don't know what that is.
Oh, so okay, so back this was like predates the Edward Snowden revelations, but basically it came out in I believe in the 1990s. Maybe the listener can correct me if I'm mistaken about that. But basically, there was a whistleblower who worked at AT&T, I believe, in the San Francisco office, who observed that there was this room with this number. And long story short, AT&T was voluntarily cooperating with the NSA. They created a node in order to intercept Americans' phone calls, faxes, and other telecommunications.
Oh,
Um,
gotcha.
and it was a major node that affected like a good part of the Western United States. And the nature of the scandal was that AT&T, Verizon, and other major telecoms, not all of them, but most of them, were basically giving our information to the government without even like being. It didn't even have to be subpoenaed or anything.
Verizon did that. Do you remember when the whole Bundy thing was going on with the Bundy Ranch? When all the
Oh yeah.
protesters went down there, Verizon turned over all the data for people who had Verizon devices to the feds, so they knew exactly who was there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I
it's
mean,
like that.
yeah, no, it happened all the time, all the time. That's what I'm saying. There is no expectation of privacy. If you're taking advantage of 21st century communication, then you have no privacy.
Well, I know that's
If
reality. I agree
if
with that.
if that's what you want, get a carrier pigeon.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's
I mean, it's
ridiculous,
wrong.
but it's
It's
true.
wrong.
But I guess that's my point. It's wrong.
Of course, it's wrong, but just because it's wrong doesn't mean that it's illegal. Yeah,
No,
and
well, it should be.
100% should be. Listen, under a Rall presidency, which, by the way, I hope that I'm your chief negotiator.
Oh, that'd be
I'll be your,
great. Yeah,
I would be your, I'll
you'd
be
be
your press
good.
secretary.
No, you're
I,
yeah, you're too. I would rather have you as a I'd rather have you as a negotiator. Press secretary has to go out and lie for you. I don't think you'd be good at that.
no, I would just tell them the truth, and that would break more brains than anything else. Why is President Rall doing this?
Because
Because
he's
he's
a
a
tar. Because he's a tard and a sellout.
because he's a retarded communist. Next question. What the hell? What are
I don't
you?
know what the fuck is wrong with him. You know.
Mr. President, Secretary, your press secretary just called you a retarded communist. Are you going to fire him?
That's why I
No,
hired him.
no,
He's right. He's right.
it's awesome, but no, I mean it's just insane. It's our church. I love my church. Honestly, I do. Flat Valley Baptist Church. I love my church. Great people. Every year we have this big shindig at Creston Fish Hatchery here just up the road in a little town called Creston, where we celebrate the 4th of July. And so it's pimped out. We got the American flags, do the Pledge of Allegiance, which, by the way, I do not recite
Super
because
patriotism.
I do not believe that the Union is indivisible, and we surely don't follow God. So I don't do the pledge. But it's all about the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's just I'm looking around. It's like you're in the biggest prison on the planet, and you people don't even realize it.
Yeah, brave. I mean, by the way, parenthetically, the Cole Allen, the alleged shooter in at the White House Correspondents' Center, he was characterized by the usual suspects in the media and in the government as saying, a cowardly attacker. What's with that? I mean, look, whatever you want to say about him, it takes some. You're not a coward when you go to take on the Secret Service, and you know that there's a good chance you're going to end up getting killed in order to express yourself through political violence. I mean, you might be a lot of bad things, but that's not cowardice.
No, I mean, first, I kind of wonder how he didn't get ventilated, and I wonder how he was able to get so close. I mean, I have lots of questions about it. I don't think I'm going to question the size of this dude's big balls that he has that are hanging out to his knees, because going in someplace like that, I mean, you've got to come to terms with odds are you're not coming out, and if they don't kill you, you're gonna be in a prison for the rest of your life. Like, either
Yeah,
way, this guy's life is over.
no doubt.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't get the whole coward thing.
Yeah, why do they say that? It's so dumb.
I don't know, but one thing I will say, well, I've read his manifesto. He is right. There's two different premises in Christianity about an eye for an eye and turn the other cheek, and the one does not supersede the other. There's a time for each, and I think it's time for it's time for the American people corporately to stop turning the cheek and go for the eye.
Yeah, I mean, as very quickly before we move on, I mean, Robbie, you're the resident Christian here. When you see an injustice,
Mhm.
one person inflicting violence upon another gratuitously, um, is two-part question, from a from a scriptural standpoint, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, what is your obligation as a Christian? All right, do you need to intervene, or are you kind of allowed to turn the other? And then also, how does the whole "give unto Caesar what is Caesar" play into that?
So, do you mean like if I'm walking down the street and I see some guy just beating the hell out of some
Let's
woman
say
or
you see a
something?
cop beating up someone for fun.
Uh, then if it's a cop, it's tricky.
Because they're
Be-
dangerous.
Well, not because it's not only because it's dangerous, but also though because one, you may not have the full context, and also Romans 13 and also Peter 1 both talk about the obligation of a Christian to be a good citizen and to render unto Caesar, to obey the laws,
Mhm,
unless those laws try to supersede the authority that's given over to God. So if
mhm.
I walk over and I see a cop just wailing on some guy, um, I would take out my phone, I would record it. But will I intervene? No, because I don't know what is that provoked it necessarily. I mean,
What if you were there from the very beginning and you saw it and you know it's unjust?
well, I mean, what would be the context of your hypothetical be? Would it just be someone walking down the road, the cop's having a bad day, just wailing on this
Yeah, let's
guy?
say
Or
that. Let's say that.
then yes, I would intervene. Because at that point, it's an innocent person who just gets jumped. It's just like, for example, if I'm walking down the streets of New York City and some black dude starts beating the ever living crap out of some little Asian lady, I would intervene. And the reason is, it's two part. One is I'm supposed to love my neighbors as myself. If I'm going to defend myself against an injustice, it is incumbent on me that at that point to intervene on behalf of someone else who's weaker, is not able to defend themselves.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's a part of it. Christianity is not a pacifist religion; it is anything but. Jesus famously said, "If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one." Also, in the Garden of Gethsemane, when Peter cut off the guard's ear, the soldier's ear, uh, Jesus told Peter, "Put your sword away, not give your sword up." Those are two very different things. Uh, so
But
that
what
would
about
be
he who lives by the sword dies by the sword?
well. I think that's what Trump's kind of figuring out right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because living by the sword means that you're going out and that you're committing aggression for the sake of aggression, and you're being a thug. Like, you're using violence to take something that does not belong to you. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's person on person or nation on nation. He who lives by the sword will be killed by it. That's kind of like the law of reaping and sowing. Just you reap what you sow. If you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. It's the same
Mhm.
thing. It's the same principle. Uh, as far as rendering to Caesar's, part of being a good citizen means I have to again, I have to follow the laws of the land.
Mhm.
Taxation is part of that. So if I look at a dollar bill, who's the dollar bill belong to? The Federal Reserve. So who do I give it to at the end of the year? The
Mhm.
Federal Reserve, because that's what I'm commanded to do. That being said, I'm not their slave. And if
Mhm.
they try and push me to a point that contradicts what God's law says, at that point, as a Christian, I tell the state, you go to hell.
So this guy, he seems to be very active in his church. This Cole
Well,
Thomas Allen.
well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wouldn't. I mean, listen, how many times have I come on this show decrying what my government is doing in my name with my tax dollars, while I get blasted by some people at my church for being a liberal, which is absolutely insane. I'm anything but. because I think it's wrong for Christians to support a genocide or to support murder or to support rape. That's exactly what we're commanded against doing.
Right. Well, agreed. Shall we move on?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. The labor union backing a proposal to place a new tax on California billionaires now has enough signatures to get that measure on California's ballot this fall. Supporters now have over 1.5 million signatures on those petitions that call for a vote on the tax. The group backing the measure will announce today when it will submit the signatures. If approved to go on the ballot, this will kick off a big fight that will tap into anxieties over economic inequality, as well as worries among business leaders that California could lose its appeal as a cradle of technological innovation. Governor Gavin Newsom and a bunch of big tech bros have vowed to fight it. Bernie Sanders is all about it. The measure calls for placing a one-time 5% tax on the assets of California residents with at least $1.1 billion and would dedicate most of the money to healthcare. The union leading the campaign, the Service Employees International Union United Healthcare Workers West, aka SEIU UHWW, argues that the tax is necessary to make up for cuts to Medicaid and other federal health insurance programs by the Trump administration last year. Those people who are against it plan to release a new economic study that shows that, or claims to show, that the tax would devastate the startup infrastructure of California, just as AI is just getting up to speed. The new tax would lead to a lot of consequences, according to the opponents, including the loss of 108,000 high-paying jobs and billions of dollars in income tax revenue over the next 2 decades. That study was written by consultants who worked in the finance departments of 2 former governors, Jerry Brown and Arnold Schwarzenegger. An earlier analysis by California's Legislative Analyst's Office found that the proposed wealth tax was likely to increase state tax revenue by tens of billions of dollars over several years. That analysis also found that the measure would decrease income tax revenue by hundreds of millions of dollars or more annually because some billionaires would leave the state. I say, good riddance. See ya.
Then how are you going to get your taxes?
Well, you get there's a lot of other people who who still would live in California. First of all, I got to say, Robbie, I don't believe for 1 minute that people would up and leave. It's a one-time tax, so you get dinged. First of all, leaving after the thing passes doesn't get you off the hook. So let's say I don't know where Elon Musk lives, but let's say he lives in I think he lives in Arizona, right? But
it's in Arizona or Texas, one or the other.
Yeah, that's right. But let's just say like a guy like an Elon, let's say Austin Butner, my good friend, formerly at the LA Times. So let's say they decide to tax Austin. This thing passes this year. Austin decides, fuck this, I'm out. I'm leaving November 10th. He's not off the hook. He still incurred the tax this year. He's still going to have to pay it. And then if he leaves, it doesn't save him anything. It's a one-time tax. It's not like he's going to have to pay it again. So why would billionaires leave?
Because I know you know this. When the income tax, the 18th Amendment was passed, originally the income tax was supposed to only affect rich people. Remember?
Yeah.
And now who does the income tax affect?
Not rich people.
Every single working class schmuck who cannot afford a tax
attorney. Not rich people.
No. So that's where I come. That's where I come down from, because you're asking me to trust the government that lies to me every single day. Oh, this just be a one-time tax only on these select people. Oh, by the way, these select people are the ones who finance political campaigns. These are the people who fund the super PACs and own our congressmen in Sacramento. So you're expecting me to honestly think that I'm going to tax them? No, they're not. This is a dog whistle. And you're asking me to take on faith that these people, this one time, like it's Lucy with the football, right? This one time, Charlie Brown, I swear to God on high, I'm not going to jerk the ball. Yeah. So just come and vote for this bill. It's only going to impact the people who finance our campaigns to do this. That's not how it works. That's never, ever, ever how this works. Never.
No,
That's why.
That's true. No,
And
I
so-
agree. Look, I think so. Yeah. So some people would leave, but look, I actually don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing. So it would not necessarily fill the state's tax coffers. Look, this brings up a big issue, right? Like, so California is a rich state, but it started impoverishing its state budget, starting with Proposition 13 back in the late 1970s, when they basically gutted the property tax system, and the state's never really recovered ever since. I'm not sure that having so many rich people is such a great thing for any society, including the state of California. It drives up prices, especially real estate prices, all over the place. I mean, sure, the state tax coffers might be emptier, but why not live in a place that's a little bit unfriendly to super wealthy people? And by the way, 100,000 jobs isn't that many in a state the size of California.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, rich people are always going to invest in their best interests. And the best way they're able to do that is by renting a politician. If you're able to buy one, then go ahead and own one or own several.
Yeah, why not?
And then what you do is that you go through and you push these deals, and you make it look like you're trying to throw a bone to the working class people. That's never how it works. That is never how it works. Mark my words. If this ever happened, the rich people are not going to be ones who are paying for it. They will never pay for it.
That is true.
And another thing, just kind of put this out. A lot of people from California, they come here to Montana to buy cars. Do you know why?
Lower taxes?
Because we have no sales tax. None. So they come here and then they buy their cars. They go back to California. Yeah. So right now, California's in a tizzy because they're trying to figure out a way to force Montana to collect fees for Californians who are coming here. And the government here in Montana is just like, screw you. We're not going to do that. Why would we? It's your problem. If you want people to start buying cars in California, here's this radical idea. Make it affordable for them to do so, because they're driving 800 miles or more to go pick up the car that they want here in the state of Montana, because it's more expensive for them to go down the street and buy one from your car dealer. That's the whole issue.
Interesting.
It's just too top heavy. California's biggest problem is California. There's only so much that you can tax people who already can't afford to live there anyway.
Well, it is too expensive to live there. And it's really not and the thing is, it's very expensive and it's not so great. It's like the cities in particular are squalid.
I would never, ever live there. I don't ever want to visit there. I have no interest. It's just not for me. And a big part of it is just because of the politics, and just listen to the way you, Manila, talk about the people there. They sound like they're a bunch of unfriendly little dickheads. And I have no interest in being there. And I don't want them to come here either. Montana's full. Go to Arizona. You'll like it more. There's no water there. It'd be great.
Empty. I've been there. It's great.
Shut up, Ted. I'm going to rescind your invitation if you don't stop.
It is empty and beautiful. It's true.
Damn you, Ted. We're full up. It's a giant parking lot.
No, just don't remember. Just tell what you really should just remind people is the truth about how friggin' cold it is.
Well, not this year. It's snowing. It's snowed the last 4 days, but this last winter though it was warmer here than it was where you are. It was in the 60s. We were having flooding in January because all the snowpack was melting. It's just weird weather here.
It's crazy. Totally crazy.
Montana's just come up with new ways to kill people, is what it is.
So we definitely should keep going and finish the show on time, because we have Q&A episode. We always do on Deprogram with Jamal and I. So that's at 12 noon today here on YouTube and Rumble. And so stay tuned for that. But it's nice to have a little break between TMI and Q&A. So let me keep going here.
Yeah, I'm going to have breakfast.
Yeah, that'll be very exciting for you and for me. because I also will be the same. All right, here we go. This one's about a topic near and dear to me, drones. In a September exercise on a Florida airfield, members of the 10th Special Forces Group launched a drone assault that mirrored the spiderweb attack that Ukraine had recently staged against Russia. The defenders were counter-drone troops from across the U.S. military, trained for 1 week on technology that the Pentagon has spent billions of dollars to develop. U.S. counter-drone efforts haven't been the same ever since. Operation Clear Horizon, which was took place at Eglin Air Force Base, sought to replicate the conditions and weapons seen on the battlefields of Ukraine. In this war game, mock assault, special operators used a wide range of drones from little to big, and many that were resistant to jamming and radar. The effort to replicate the battlefield of Ukraine is a big departure from the way that the department usually tests its technology against drones. Because the electromagnetic effects used against drones interfere with airplane guidance and cellular service, the military can only test them in very particular circumstances. Even the most recent counter-drone tests, such as T-Rex at Camp Atterbury, Indiana in August, and Flytrap in Germany in November, don't do that. Instead, they test concepts for bringing down drones without actually using million-dollar missiles, which is, by the way, something we're also seeing with the Iranians, right, where they are using cheap drones and the U.S. is using expensive missiles to try to bring down these cheap drones. Asymmetrical warfare. Also, data from the tests don't usually fully inform the planning of other exercises or experiments. And so between September and December, 67 tests have been conducted and by the DoD. So even if the circumstances make it hard to test jamming equipment against unmanned aerial vehicles, the military still needs to drill against drones that are built to elude radar as well. What the U.S. really needs now is continuously up-to-date understanding of how American tactics and gear would perform on a battlefield like Ukraine. So that's what the task force is trying to do. The exercise in Florida proved that U.S. drone defenders need ways to combine the data coming in from far-flung radars, drones, and counter-drone systems. Now the U.S. has a single drone tracking software solution and interface across the systems. But for smaller drones, the U.S. has to develop cheap interceptor drones that cost less than today's expensive defense missiles. Robbie, I have thoughts about the solution here. The most effective counter-drone warriors in the world is the Russian military. And I think it's time to make friends with Vladimir Putin and ask them for help with this, because the days when the United States is going to come under direct attack by foreign drones are ticking closer to us every single day.
Nope, I completely agree. Oh, and Manchild, he sent us a rant. This is going to address this real quick first. Dollar, thank you. Ted, is it better to tax the rich or just eat them and get it over with?
I don't know. A lot of their bodies are full of toxins, so I'd be worried about ingesting those.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, as far as drone, first, Eglin Air Force Base, I grew up in Pensacola, so it's not like 80 miles to the east. And I used to go poach deer there when I was younger. So that was fun. There's big fat deer because there's no predators there. As far as the drones go, listen, I completely agree with you. I mean, if what's got to be on the back of the mind would be kind of like how the Ukrainians, when they drove those box trucks deep into Russia and then just launched those drone strikes against the Ingalls Air Force Base. What is there to stop someone from doing the exact same thing here in this country? Just box trucks or semis just coming across the border, coming in through a shipping container because most of them don't get inspected, and then just do something just like that in the middle of the country.
There's nothing.
And nothing at all. And I mean, seriously, if that's a concern, the people with the most experience at countering this kind of stuff is the Russian military.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with you. As far as that goes, if we wanted to actually reduce the cost of living in this country, we would be trading a crap ton with the Russians. We'd be buying their oil, their natural gas. We'd be buying their fertilizer. We'd be working on establishing a real trade relationship with us and carve the world up between us. The Chinese would then be kind of screwed because Right now, Russia's propping them up, especially with the Strait of Hormuz closed. So if China's the threat, then Russia's your best friend. But instead, though, doing what Americans do, we're being retarded, and we push our two biggest rivals together.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. By the way, what do you make of, parenthetically, but it is related, Iran? Did you notice over the weekend that it didn't get much coverage, but Iran said that unless the United States cuts the shit in Iran, that the United States homeland is going to come under direct military assault by weapons that Iran has not previously deployed so in other words, that they have the means to attack the United States. Bluff, or what do you think?
Oh, 100%. Because they first of all, they haven't used their hypersonic missiles against Israel in this war, which is the first thing I would have done. Is I would have erased Dimona off the face of the earth. But maybe that's why I'm not the leader of Iran, because I'm too hawkish.
Also, you're not Iranian.
But, well, I mean, I could be trans-Iranian.
Right, you can identify as an Iranian, yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I could 100% do that. I mean, why not? But no, I mean, they're not suicidal. And they would know that if they attacked, I mean, that's why they haven't sunk an American aircraft carrier, because they know what would happen. Their country would die overnight then if that happened, because the outrage in this country would be so visceral that 6,000 American sailors got sent to the bottom of the Arabian Sea, that Trump would have no choice but to nuke them. Imagine what would happen if they actually did something like that against the American mainland. First, I doubt they've got the technology to do it. And even if they did, they would have to know that if they did, then the Persian civilization, which is 4,000 years old, would die in a day. They have to know that.
Trump would carry out his threat finally.
Wouldn't you? If you're the president of the United States and someone, say, erased Baltimore, personally, I would be on board with that, because I think Baltimore is a blight. I would actually thank them. But if you had a serious president who was like, no, even though Baltimore is a shithole, it's still technically a part of us. You would erase the country. I mean, wouldn't you? If you're President Rall and someone just did this massive attack,
you can't let it pass. Yeah,
no, for sure. I mean, and what would you do? You would respond with overwhelming force.
True. So, I mean, here's the thing: bigger bird's eye issue here with these drones. I think, like the drone warfare genie, we could still bottle it up with an international, because the United States is by far the leading producer of military drones, and we started this whole thing, right? We were the very first country to, under George W. Bush, to start killing people with drones. I mean, we're like that, right? Like,
sure.
After basically World War I is the first time that aerial bombardment ever started, and I think it was a American plane flying, might have been a British one, flying over North Africa and saw like an Ottoman encampment, and the pilot noticed that he had some grenades in his cockpit, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to fly down and drop these on these people." It's the first known use of aerial bombardment, just a few years after the Wright brothers, right?
Right.
So here we go, exactly the same way. As soon as we figured out, like, it's really funny when George W. Bush asked for, the Predator drones, he was like, "Oh, we will," he told Congress, "we will absolutely never use these to kill anyone." But within months, they were, and it became a CIA program. And so since we're so far ahead, I feel like we're kind of in the same place that we were at with nuclear weapons in the late 1940s. We could have told the entire world, "Listen, we've got them, you don't. Let's all agree not to build them, and we'll destroy ours." We could do the same thing with drones. We could say, "We're so far ahead. Let's get together with like Russia and China and and all agree to never use these for military purposes at all." Like the international treaty against the use of landmines. I know that's completely like unrealistic and never would happen because of all the money involved. But otherwise, we're going to have people be blown up on the streets of American cities.
Would you trust anything that the United States said?
No.
If you're the president of Russia, I'm going to promote you. I'm now going to make you the premier of the Soviet Socialist republics have been resurrected. And if I come to you, President West, and we have a good relationship, okay, we're friends. We go to each other's villas. You sip your vodka, my ice cold Coca-Cola. We have a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You understand though that after 8 years max, I'm out of office. And then the United States lobotomizes itself every 4 to 8 years as far as leadership goes. And the deep state's always there. The problem isn't me. The problem is who comes after me.
Right.
And I cannot then at that point in any way, shape, or form look at you, Comrade Rall, and say I can guarantee you that this will never happen. That would be a lie. So why would you ever put yourself in that position? The answer is you wouldn't.
I hate that, but you're right. Yeah.
I wouldn't trust them.
No, it's true.
It's just like the Iranians. I'm going to promote myself. I'm going to be the premier of Iran. I would tell the Americans I have no interest in what you have to say. Talk is cheap. If you want to have this happen, ratify a treaty through the Senate. Mm-hmm. Your president signs it. Short of that, we're not going to talk, and I will strangle you by the neck till dead economically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's the only thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, agreed.
And it's a cynical way of being. And listen, I'm an American. I love my country. I hate my government. I love my country. But I don't trust. If my government lies to me on a daily basis, how much more do we lie to our friends and our enemies?
Yep. Yep.
I'm a very cynical guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Look, we're here to find the truth. We're not here to bullshit anyone. So, and unfortunately, I think you just articulated the truth, and I'm not going to step away from that. So, guys, thanks for tuning in to TMI Show with Ted Rall and Manila Chan. Robbie West filling in. We'll keep you posted on Manila's progress as a new mom for the second time around. I suspect the second time is easier than the first time.
Have you seen the picture of the baby?
No.
Oh, that baby's so cute. It looks like a little Asian.
Oh, really?
It's the cute little slanty eyes, coal black hair. I mean, it's just, it looks like a little China doll. It's a beautiful baby.
Oh, I'll ask Manila to send me a picture. All right, and with that,
and I'm saying it because I don't know if Manila wants the gender to be.
Well, it's already. I've already outed the child's gender, but
it's a girl. It's a cute little girl, sweet little baby girl.
Gender reveal is now official on the TMI Show because it is the TMI Show because we bring you way too much information, as Manila would like to say. Yes. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back, Robbie and I, along with Jamarl Thomas, for Deep Programs Monday, 12 noon Eastern Time Q&A episode. So if you have any questions for JT or myself or Robbie about anything whatsoever, about the news, about the assassination attempt, about music, about anything you want. I mean, I was talking over the weekend on my social media about how I would love to do an advice show at some point. So if you want advice from us, call in with advice. And then we're going to, what we got to do. Do you think we can, Robbie, do you think we can get the Rumble Studio to work the audio stuff for the Q&A on Wednesday? Do you think we can figure that out?
I don't know. Let's play with it. See what happens.
All right. Cause we hit the studio we're using now is not here on TMI, but on Deprogram has all sorts of features that that allow us to take phone calls in real time.
I think that we should really exercise our right as part of the patriarchy and tell Manila we're not going to use StreamYard anymore. It's going to be Rumble Studio, and you just have to deal with it.
Well, the problem is that I don't know how we jump from Rumble Studio. Like one user can't set up multiple rooms in Rumble Studio. So if you have back-to-back shows, it's a problem.
What I have to do is you run Deprogram, I run TMI. We write into TMI. You come in, I send you the link, and then I would give you administration privileges.
Gotcha. All right, and with that, we'll see. Go have a good breakfast, Robbie. So will I. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you in about 55 minutes. I hope.
Yep. See y'all there.